Right back to conversation. We're going to talk with Herman Cain later. He's going to be one of the people at the Conservative Principals Conference that Steve King has organized. You like to do this kind of stuff. You like to stir things up. You like to get people together and brainstorm. You love this stuff, don't you?
I do. I think that, Jan, ideas are what made America, and ideas will be what save America. And when you put smart people together, I just say that you could take the smartest person in the world, put them in a phone booth, and say, we're not going to let you out till you come up with a good idea. And they're probably never going to get out of that phone booth. But if you put two smart people...
That's how cellular phones were invented.
But if you put two people in that phone booth, you're going to get good ideas. And if you put 10 of them there, you'll have a lot of good ideas. And they'll be well polished, too. And that's what we're doing tomorrow.
And they'll be much more concerned about personal hygiene after the experience. Let's talk to as many people as we can. And this is Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Jan. Morning, Congressman.
Morning, Tom.
Say, I wanted to ask your opinion on that exercise that's going to happen in Trainer with Homeland Security. What you think about them picking, people against illegal immigration as the shooters?
Well, it burns me a little bit to read the articles on that and see that if the requirement for them to draw down federal money was create a scenario for terrorism.
Likely terrorists.
First, why did you need to draw down federal money? What's going to be the attack of terrorism that's going to happen in Trainer? It's such a very safe place and a really good town, by the way.
Yes.
But if the scenario had to be that it would be racist, white supremacists that were discriminating against minorities, they named white supremacists, but they didn't name the minority. How is that? That's so politically correct. I just think we could have found something that was...
Well, they implied they would be Hispanic because the guy was bugged about immigration policy.
Yes, but they dodged saying what kind of ethnicity these illegal immigrants would be, yet they took the latitude to name the white supremacists as the discriminators and the murderers. So I think they could have done a little better. They could have said maybe had Al-Qaeda there, so they could have prepared some of those good high school kids at Trainer that have great athletic teams for war.
Wisconsin AFSCME members.
They know a little about violence. That would be. I think I like that one better, Jan. What if we had an all-out general strike and people from Wisconsin AFSCME came to Trainer to demonstrate? That's a plausible scenario.
Yes, enraged middle school art teachers from Milwaukee. Bugged.
We're having a little fun with you, Tom, but what we think here. There's a lot of better ways to do this same thing, and I don't know where the genesis of this idea was, but it probably wasn't Janet Napolitano, but it sounds like her.
Well, it seems to me it's a swipe at the Tea Party because
of course it is.
Oh, well, that's what upsets me. I'm thinking of being in Trainer tomorrow morning with a sign. Everything positive. Welcome immigrants. We want secure borders to keep criminals, terrorists, and other types coming here and harming you and me.
Give them a Tea Party love bomb.
There you go.
All right.
I mean, first Obama acted like he didn't know what the Tea Party was, and then he acted like used some kind of weird sexual reference to describe us, and then he acted like we were stupid. Now he's acting like we're dangerous. So I think this movement's really caught his attention.
Tom, I'll add one more thing. I have a report coming out now. It's temporarily embargoed. I've been on it for 2.5 years to identify the number of Americans that are killed by illegals that are in this country. That if we had enforced the law, those Americans would still be alive today. And that's going to be rolling out sometime in the next 3 or 3.5 weeks. So we'll hopefully come back and talk about that, too.
You also introduced legislation to make English, the U.S. version of the Official English Act here in Iowa.
Yes, and we I spent 6 years establishing English as the official language of the state of Iowa. It's worked out pretty well, and we need to do that at the national level. Every other nation has at least one official language. We need a common form of communications currency. The language skills are empowering skills. Speaking English in this country is a path up the ladder of success, and the nation cannot be involved in interpreting all of these multitude of languages that are being brought into the country. So I want to get that done. It's an 84% issue, Jan.
What issues are going to be discussed and addressed tomorrow, do you figure?
Well, immigration will be one. I imagine Trainer will come up. I think Tom's queued that one up already. And we'll be talking about debt and deficit. We'll talk about national security, Libya in particular. And hopefully we'll have discussions about real tax reform and getting our freedom and our liberty back with a tax plan that allows us to do so. Obamacare repeal will be one of those as well. There's no way to avoid that, and I'll bring it up if no one else does, but I don't think we're going to have to wait for me to do that. And that's a series of the issues that are out there. But this economy and taking this country back to our constitutional principles, the Founding Fathers did get it right, and that movement is growing in this country, and I want to see it continue to grow. If we can adhere to this Constitution, that playbook for us is there, and if you deviate from it, there has to be a really good argument for that, and that requires an amendment.
All right, let's talk to as many people as we can, and this is Congressman Steve King here in the studio with us, and he's here to chat with us. This is Adrian. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Jan.
Hi.
I heard you say earlier that implied in the Constitution was the federal authority to establish a gold standard.
Well, not really. What I tried to say is that the feds are not supposed to be in the job of currency manipulation, and the states could only accept require for the payment of debt gold and silver, or stuff that is backed by gold and silver.
Here's my concern about what you said: is you suggested that it was an implied power, and my concern is that as soon as you start to suggest implied powers, then you can just about imply anything you'd like.
No, you'd have to do so on the basis of principle, not on the basis of implication. You can't just say because there's an implication that anything can be implicated. And I understand your discomfort over that. I was hoping I was more objective than that, though, Adrian. Hey, thank you very much. This is Vicki. Good morning, Vicki.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning, Congressman King.
Good morning, Vicki.
I'm actually calling pretty much on the same subject. The Trainer Iowa thing, not the gold standard. It seems to me that their goal is to portray us as extremists and probably to goad us into proving their point, which really doesn't happen on the right, only on the left. And between this kind of thing and the TSA, I'm just wondering, how do we stop this? I mean, because the federal government is really wanting to set up the right, and with everything else that's going on in the world, you just wonder what their end game is.
Well, hang on, Vicki. Let me bounce something off of you. This is Jan here for a second. Because I've been following this a little bit, and my first instinct was exactly yours, outrage at the very idea that they'd use this as a template. But keep in mind who they're asking the money from. Here's a program, they get federal money, and if you want to come up with a scenario you know is going to resonate with this group of varmints, and they're going to not even use critical thinking skills before they send you the check, wouldn't you give them exactly what you thought that they wanted?
Yes.
Well, it's that's how I would. That's how I do it.
Similar to the judge removal thing, when they expose themselves for who they are by coming out in the open, they look worse. And the judges did themselves in. We didn't have to do much at all. And I'm thinking that the federal government is pretty much showing their hand by even allowing such a scenario to be done.
Okay,
Vicki, let me just take you back on a little bit of history. Back during this almost sounds a little like the Janet Reno era, when I drove through Grand Junction this morning, home of Randy Weaver,
right,
who was the subject of the Ruby Ridge stakeout and eventually shootout that cost lives on both sides of that. And then subsequent to that was the Waco issue. And now we have the same psychology. It's in this administration. They believe that there are white supremacists out there that are poised to start violent revolution, and I think that that's not a danger to America. The danger is losing our liberty and our freedom.
This has been going on since the 60s. The Kennedy boys in the White House did this to then the right wing, and they did this to the John Birch Society and those groups.
And I would add, this is Ron Schiller's fear here. This is his phobia manifesting itself in the concept and trainer, Ron Schiller of the NPR, who said we have these white supremacists,
yes, exactly,
and they are a bunch of Neanderthals.
Last thing, you're going to defund those buzzards?
Yes, sir. I voted to do that. I supported the amendment, and I spoke in favor of it. And I told them over their own radio program, I don't know how we do anything else. So.
Congressman King, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow all day long, the Conservative Conference. Appreciate it, sir.
It'll be an outstanding day. Thank you, Jen.